Have you ever walked past something so small and seemingly insignificant, only to realize later it was a turning point in someone's life or even your own? Picture this, a freezing winter night. The streets silent except for the howling wind. You're rushing to get home, your hands stuffed in your pockets, head down, when you hear it, a faint, desperate cry. At first, you think it's your imagination, but then it comes again, weak but pleading. What would you do? This is the story of how one moment, one decision, changed not just a puppy's life, but an entire family's. The story begins on a night when hope seemed non-existent. Hidden under a broken wooden crate in a dark alley was a tiny puppy. He was too young to understand why he was there, too weak to move, and too scared to cry louder for fear of the unknown. The cold was merciless. His frail body, covered in patches of thin fur, shook violently as he tried to curl into himself for warmth. His belly growled in hunger, but he was too weak to search for food. The world around him was harsh and unkind. People walked by, their hurried footsteps echoing off the alley walls. Some glanced in his direction, but quickly looked away, pretending not to see. To them, he was just another stray, another problem for someone else to solve. Then came Sarah. She wasn't looking to change anyone's life that night. She was just trying to get home after a long, exhausting day. Her feet ached, and all she could think about was the warmth of her apartment and a cup of tea. But as she passed the alley, she heard the sound, a soft, pitiful whimper. She stopped in her tracks, unsure if she had imagined it. The wind howled, drowning out everything, but there it was again. For a moment, she hesitated. Should she keep walking? It wasn't her responsibility, after all, but something deep inside urged her to take a closer look. With her heart pounding, Sarah turned toward the sound, and there he was, a tiny, trembling puppy, his eyes wide with fear and sadness. In that moment, their eyes met, and something shifted. It was as if he was silently pleading, "Don't leave me." Without a second thought, Sarah removed her scarf and gently wrapped it around the puppy. He flinched at first, his tiny body stiff with fear, but her soft touch and soothing voice calmed him. "You're coming with me," she whispered, holding him close to her chest. She could feel his tiny heartbeat, weak but still fighting. The walk home was slow and careful. Sarah shielded the puppy from the biting wind, whispering reassurances the whole way. She didn't know it yet, but this moment would be the start of something extraordinary. Sarah's apartment was small but warm, a stark contrast to the cold alley. She placed the puppy on a soft towel near the heater and fetched some warm milk. At first, he was hesitant, too weak and scared to trust her, but hunger soon overcame his fear, and he drank eagerly, his tiny tail wagging ever so slightly. Sarah smiled, feeling a warmth in her heart that she hadn't felt in a long time. She named him Lucky not just because he had been lucky to survive, but because she felt lucky to have found him. That night, Lucky slept soundly for the first time in days, curled up in a makeshift bed Sarah had prepared for him. But Sarah couldn't sleep. She stayed up, researching how to care for a stray puppy, determined to give him the best chance at life. The days that followed were a journey of small victories. Lucky was weak, his ribs visible through his thin coat, and he flinched at every sudden movement. Sarah knew it would take time to rebuild his trust. She fed him small meals throughout the day, careful not to overwhelm his fragile stomach. She introduced him to toys, soft blankets, and, most importantly, a world filled with kindness. At first, Lucky would hide under the couch whenever Sarah moved too quickly, but with patience and love, he began to come out of his shell. The first time he wagged his tail at her, Sarah felt tears in her eyes. Weeks turned into months, and Lucky's transformation was nothing short of miraculous. His coat grew thick and shiny, His eyes sparkled with happiness, and his playful nature blossomed. Sarah took him to the park, where he discovered the joy of chasing leaves and meeting other dogs. He became the star of her social media, his adorable antics bringing smiles to everyone who saw them. But Lucky wasn't just a pet, he was family. He brought a sense of joy and purpose into Sarah's life that she hadn't even realized was missing. Lucky's story didn't just change Sarah's life, it inspired everyone around her. Her friends and family, moved by his journey, started adopting pets of their own. Sarah even began volunteering at a local animal shelter, sharing Lucky's story to encourage others to open their hearts. Lucky became a symbol of hope and resilience, a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness can have a profound impact. Lucky's journey from an abandoned puppy to a beloved family member is a testament to the power of love and compassion. Sarah often reflected on how that one decision to stop and investigate a faint cry had changed both their lives forever. Lucky, who had once been left to fend for himself in the cold, now had a home filled with warmth, laughter, and unconditional love. Lucky's story is a reminder that small acts of kindness can change the world, one life at a time. So the next time you see someone or something in need, don't hesitate to help. You never know whose life you might change, or how they might change yours. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs a little inspiration today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below with your own stories of compassion and hope. Together, let's spread the message that love can truly transform lives.